these are like the do's and don'ts of this initial call. Do have your value proposition ready so that when somebody says, what do you do that makes you different? Or how does this work? You're prepared. Number two, read the contract. You would be shocked how many agents are like, well, nobody's going to sign this agreement with me before they even tour a house. It's like, well, it's a non-binding, non-exclusive agreement in your state, right? They're like, it is? Have you read it? Read the contract, get with your broker, make sure you understand the new forms that you're going to need to use. Number three, like have answers prepared. We do it for less. What if we're not happy? What if we find a property on our own? What do you do that makes you different from other agents? I'm sure there's 10 more questions here that you should be prepared to answer. Move to the don'ts. Don't sit back and wait for them to ask these things, right? What you heard Simon do is right out of the gate, like, hey, this is what makes us different. We've sold this many homes, we do whatever. When you meet them at that first listing, walk up, hey, my name's Jeremiah Taylor. Thanks so much. I'm excited to meet with you. By the way, I went ahead and I printed out all the information on this house. Here's the MLS profile sheet. By the way, I went ahead and I ran some comparable sales on this house. Here's all the comps that'll help you understand what this is worth. By the way, here's a list of all the inspections that you're going to want to get on this house. Now, those are just a few of the things that I put together before we even start working together, right? Like show some value in the first 10 seconds of meeting them. Don't expect them to sign something without answering questions. This isn't if you get to a place where it is, well, if you want to see the house, you got to sign this, you lost. That is not the right way to do this. We have to help them understand this. We have to help them understand the value proposition. Make sure you don't lose opportunities because there's industry changes. The reality is, as we are listening to these calls, it doesn't go well if you try to explain this to them over the phone. The last thing you want to get into is like, I remember 15 years ago when I started calling for sale by owners, the number one rule of listing for sale by owners is don't take the listing over the phone, right? When somebody says, well, what do you do to help me sell my house? Wow, that's a great question. I'll make sure that's the first thing that we talk about when I get to your house. Okay, well, what do you charge? I have another agent that'll charge X. You know what? That's a great question. I'll make sure that's the second thing that we talk about when I get to your house on Tuesday. Have the conversation in person. If you get into your commissions over the phone, if you get into what you charge, what you do, all that, it is very likely that all you're doing is giving them an opportunity to invalidate you based on your response. If somebody asks me, like, hey, what is your commission? And they go full court press, I'm going to say, it depends on what you want me to do. Let's get together. Let's talk about what you need. I'll show you my range of services, and then we can agree on what I get paid. That's how it works. That's the reality, right? Don't discuss the changes of the rules on the initial call. The goal is set a face-to-face appointment. Now, if they ask about it, answer their question. You're not trying to dodge questions, but don't make your life harder. Do what Simon did. Hey, this is great. Let's meet in person. We'll do a buyer's consultation. Really simple, really straightforward. Okay. And don't assume that they're aware of what's going on. Really, really simple. I saw a question in the chat about like, hey, what if they have an agreement with the other agent? He asked, he said, are you 100% committed to your agent? They said, no, we're open. We want a second opinion. I think Simon did exactly the right thing. Could he have asked, do you have a signed agreement? Sure, but I think he asked the question. If they had a signed agreement, they would have told him at that point. This is still sales. We still got to fight for every opportunity. So, be aggressive, be assertive. A lot of times when people say, well, I have an agent, that's actually their way of telling you they don't like what you are selling them. It's the same as when you go to a clothing store and you're browsing through clothes and they say, do you need help? And you automatically go, no. I have an agent is this the same version.
It's also, Jeremiah, it also could mean everything from I know an agent, I met an agent once, an agent sends me stuff, but I've never met him, to they have a contract signed and everything in between.